Welcome back. We're here to talk about Saturday lunchtime's London derby between Chelsea and Arsenal. Pascal, there's only one place to start. Chelsea's dreadful start to the season continued. Is Mourinho under a bit of pressure now?
I don't think he is personally. We still know he's one of the best managers. You look at his record across Europe. He's had a fantastic record. It has been a very poor start, and I think you can't really blame the manager too much because I know he's in charge of the players, but the players they just haven't performed anywhere near as well as last year. It is essentially the same bunch of players who were so dominant to the Premier League title last year. The results have been poor. The only win so far, that one at West Brom, where they still conceded two. I know they've had their problems. Courtois' injury doesn't help, of course, but last time out against Everton, outplayed there. Really poor. Already 3 defeats this season. I know Mourinho's under pressure, but personally, I'd be very, very surprised if he gets a sack. I mean, I'm sure things will improve soon, but even if they don't, he signed that huge contract in the summer. It would take a lot of money to get rid of him. So I personally don't think he's under too much pressure. The results do need to change, but I can't really see him being sacked.
It's the worst start to a top flight season in 29 years, I think it is, and just everything that usually goes right for Chelsea seems to be going wrong. We'll see their defensive record's poor. Their home record is really surprisingly poor so far. Still winless at Stamford Bridge this season. Drawn one, lost one. Didn't lose a league game at home throughout the whole of last season. They've already beaten that record with that defeat to Crystal Palace this time around. Dropped 5 points already this season, when throughout the whole of last season they only dropped 8. So it's a massive slump in form from them. I think they've failed to win 9 of their last 15 home games. After the 15 prior to that, they won 14 of them and drew 1. So that just goes to show how much they've dropped their level at home throughout the whole of 2015. I think probably since that Bradford City defeat in the FA Cup, which came at home, they just haven't been the same sort of team really. Throughout the whole calendar year, I can only think of that Swansea game where they won 5-0 that they've actually played well. So it's not just this season, it was towards the end of last season, but at least towards the end of last season they were still picking up results. This time around they're not even doing that.
I know, yeah, and you look at the players and you think, right, you watch players like Azar, who was just so good last year. He's gone cold. Costa's not playing very well. Like Fabregas has been especially poor this season, but the problem really is the defence, isn't it? Look at how many goals they've conceded. They've already conceded 12. That's the worst defence in the Premier League, and it took them until December last season to concede that many goals. It just shows how much problems they've had there, and I mean, it's been documented enough times how much Ivanovic is struggling on the right, but you saw like Terry, he got exposed a lot of times in that Everton game. Just it's sort of the midfield not offering too much protection, but then he hasn't really got that partner there. It was him and Cahill were a really solid partnership last season. Zuma's come in there. Cahill's played some games, and they tried to sign Stones. So if they'd got Stones, would he have then played alongside Terry? Aspilicueta's doing okay at left back, but the whole defence is just leaky. They've lost one of the best goalkeepers in the world to a 3-month injury now. So I think that's the root of their problems, the defence, and that's the area he has to sort out soon, because especially with players like Azar, he can't keep playing this badly. He's such a good little player, and I think he's going to come good soon, and Costa will start scoring goals. But if the defence doesn't sort itself out and they keep conceding this many goals, they're not going to win enough games.
And by contrast, Arsenal have now kept 3 clean sheets in a row. They've really stepped things up since that opening day defeat. Such a disappointing defeat to West Ham, that after such a optimistic summer, all the fans thought they might be able to push for the title this season. Obviously didn't add a striker, which was a big problem, but they'll be happy to see both Walcott and Giroud on the score sheet last time out against Stoke, and that was a game. They've got a fantastic record at home against Stoke, and they're always expected to win that fairly comfortably, and they should have won it a lot more comfortably than they did. Had so many chances. I think it was 29 shots on goal they had throughout that match. Butland was probably man of the match for Stoke, even though he conceded 2 goals. So that will again disappoint Wenger, that he wasn't being able to turn that domination into more goals. They've got wins against Stoke and Newcastle in games that they've completely dominated, but in truth they should have won much more comfortably. They should have probably had a couple of 5-0, maybe even 6-0 wins this season, which would obviously raise the optimism levels and the hope that they might be able to push for the title after all. But that cutting edge in the final third, I think, is still a bit missing. Obviously you go back to the transfer window, not adding another striker. Are Walcott and Giroud good enough to fire you to the title? We've had this discussion before. I don't think they are personally. They will weigh in with a few goals now and again. Walcott's record when starting is actually really good, 11 in his last 11. So his stats are decent, but they just need to become more prolific in front of goal, finish more of the chances that they're creating.
Yeah, definitely. And since that West Ham defeat, they have sort of sorted themselves out. 3 wins out of 4, and up to the top 4 now. But they're 5 points behind City. You think they do? City, the way they're looking, Arsenal would certainly need to keep pace with them, because Chelsea, they're already 11 points behind City. They already look out of it, to be honest, unless City have a real dip and Chelsea go on a run. But Arsenal have done well, and their away form's been pretty good. I mean, we're filming this before Wednesday's Champions League game, but they've unbeaten in their last 12 away games, so they are usually pretty good on the road. And some of their home results, results can be disappointing, like the one West Ham at the start of the season. But you look at their run coming up. They've got that Champions League opener against Zagreb, and then Leicester, Man U, Everton, Swansea, Tottenham, and obviously Chelsea here, and then sort of 5 of their next six games after this. So it's a really big sort of month or two coming up for them if they really want to sort of signal their intention for that sort of title push, because the Arsenal fans, I think they're kind of thinking in their heads, they don't think they've got a squad good enough for the title when you see how well City are playing in the league. And if they can really sort of assert their authority, say Giroud and Walcott scoring more goals, a few more goals from midfield, the likes of, I think Cazorla needs to play a bit better, and some of the other midfield players like Ramsey needs to do better for his club. And if they can sort of go on a really good run, I think they could sort of push certainly and maybe catch City if City have a couple of bad results.
What's been made of Wenger's record against Mourinho over the years? Finally got that first win over him in the Community Shield. Still none in the Premier League though. Do you see him getting that this time?
I'm going to have to go for a draw here. I think it's really hard game to go. I think Chelsea, they'll be so desperate for that first home win, but Arsenal, they have improved since their start of the season. So I think it's a really hard game to call. It could really go either way, but I'm going to have to go for a draw and say 1-1.
Yeah, it is a tough one to call, isn't it? Just Chelsea just have not been at the races so far, and Arsenal improving. I think this is the best time Arsenal will have ever had to play Chelsea. Certainly the best time Wenger would have ever had to play Mourinho in the Premier League. So I think I'm going to go for an Arsenal victory here. I'm going to go for 2-1, I think. So going for one Arsenal victory and a draw. Thanks for joining us.